Somewhere beneath the Pacific Ocean right now, a machine the size of a city block is moving in total silence. It carries enough firepower to erase a nation. Its crew hasn't seen sunlight in 60 days, and almost nobody on Earth knows exactly where it is. That submarine is just one layer of the most sophisticated, most lethal, and most dominant naval force ever assembled in human history: the United States Navy. But here's what most people don't understand. It's not the ships that make it unstoppable. It's not even the weapons. What followed over the next 4 years was the most dramatic naval transformation in history. The United States didn't just rebuild its navy. It reimagined naval warfare entirely. Out went the era of battleships, massive, slow, and vulnerable. In came the age of the carrier, a floating air base that could project power hundreds of miles beyond the horizon. By the Battle of Midway in June 1942, just 6 months after Pearl Harbor, U.S. Navy dive bombers sank 4 Japanese fleet carriers in a single afternoon. 4 carriers. One afternoon. The course of the entire war in the Pacific changed in 24 hours. The United States Navy had learned its lesson. Speed, reach, and information are more powerful than armor and firepower. Then came the Cold War. For 40 years, the U.S. Navy and the Soviet Navy played a deadly cat-and-mouse game beneath the world's oceans. Both sides developed nuclear-armed submarines. Both sides built massive fleets. Both sides developed technologies the world had never seen. But when the Soviet Union collapsed in 1991, something became undeniable. The United States Navy was the only force on Earth that could operate simultaneously in every ocean, on every continent's doorstep at any time. Today, that superiority has only deepened. But how? How does one navy maintain dominance over every other on the planet? At its center, a nuclear-powered aircraft carrier. The latest, the Gerald R. Ford class, is 1,092 feet long, longer than the Eiffel Tower is tall. It displaces over 100,000 tons of water. It carries 75 to 90 aircraft. And it is powered not by fuel that runs out, but by 2 nuclear reactors that can run for 20 years without refueling. But the carrier is not a weapon by itself. It is a command platform surrounded by a constellation of lethality. Surrounding it, 2 to 3 Ticonderoga-class guided missile cruisers. These are floating radar and missile platforms capable of tracking hundreds of targets simultaneously and firing long-range missiles at aircraft, ships, or land targets hundreds of miles away. Then, 2 to 3 Arleigh Burke-class guided missile destroyers, arguably the most capable surface combat ship ever built. Equipped with 90 to 96 vertical launch cells loaded with Tomahawk cruise missiles, anti-ship missiles, and anti-aircraft missiles. Fast, stealthy, and lethal. Then 1 to 2 attack submarines lurking invisibly beneath the fleet, hunting enemy submarines and surface ships. Then a supply ship, because this fleet doesn't need to come home to rearm or refuel. It sustains itself at sea. The combined firepower of a single carrier strike group exceeds that of most national militaries. And the United States Navy operates 11 of them simultaneously. At any moment, those 11 strike groups are patrolling international waters, a permanent, mobile deterrent that no adversary can ignore. Chinese admiral, Russian commander, Iranian general. They all know exactly where those carrier groups are, and they plan their entire military doctrine around not confronting them directly. That is power. But if the carrier strike group is the fist of American naval power, the submarine is the knife. The United States operates 2 types of nuclear-powered submarines, and together they represent perhaps the most decisive strategic advantage any military force has ever held. First, the attack submarine, Los Angeles class, and the newer Virginia class boats. Fast, deep diving and armed with Tomahawk cruise missiles and heavyweight torpedoes. Their mission: hunt and destroy enemy submarines and surface ships before those enemies even know they're there. The Virginia-class submarine can operate in littoral waters close to coastlines where older submarines couldn't go. It carries Tomahawk missiles that can travel over 1,000 miles and strike land targets with near-surgical precision. But the second type of submarine is where the true existential power lies: the Ohio-class ballistic missile submarine, known by the crews who serve on them as boomers. Each Ohio-class submarine carries 24 Trident 2D5 ballistic missiles. Each missile can carry multiple independently targetable nuclear warheads. Each warhead has a yield many times more powerful than the bomb dropped on Hiroshima. A single Ohio-class submarine deployed alone can effectively end a civilization. The United States operates 14 of them. They are always at sea. Their locations are among the most classified secrets on Earth. Even within the U.S. Navy, only a small number of people know where all the boomers are at any given moment. This is called the nuclear triad's sea leg, and it is considered the most survivable and therefore the most stabilizing element of nuclear deterrence. And the men and women who crew these submarines? They volunteer for deployments of 60 to 70 days beneath the ocean. No sunlight, limited communication with family, no surfacing, sleeping in bunks that rotate between crew members in shifts. They call it running silent, running deep. And they do it because they understand that their silent presence is what keeps the world from going to war. Every weapon is only as good as the information it acts on. And in modern naval warfare, the ability to see the battlefield, all of it, instantly, accurately, is the difference between victory and catastrophe. This is where the Aegis combat system enters the picture. Developed in the 1970s and continuously upgraded ever since, Aegis is the most advanced naval weapons, control, and radar system ever deployed. At its core is the AN/SPY-1 phased array radar, a radar that doesn't rotate like traditional systems. Instead, it electronically scans all directions simultaneously. It can track over 100 targets at the same time: aircraft, missiles, drones, ships, in any weather, at ranges exceeding 200 nautical miles. But Aegis doesn't just detect, it thinks. The system can automatically assess threats, prioritize them by danger level, and recommend or autonomously execute weapons launches, all faster than any human operator could. During the Gulf War in 1991, Aegis ships provided the air picture that coordinated the entire coalition air campaign. In 2003, Aegis cruisers and destroyers fired Tomahawk missiles from the Red Sea and Persian Gulf into Baghdad with accuracy measured in meters. But here's the evolution that changes everything. Aegis is now networked. Every Aegis-equipped ship shares its sensor picture in real time with every other Aegis ship in the fleet. The carrier, the destroyers, the cruisers, even allied navies, they all see the same picture. They can all shoot based on another ship's sensors, a concept called cooperative engagement capability. What this means? An Arleigh Burke destroyer sailing 50 miles from a carrier can fire a missile to intercept a target it cannot see itself, using targeting data fed from a different ship over a data link. The U.S. Navy doesn't fight as individual ships, it fights as a single, networked organism. If there is one weapon that has defined American naval power for the last 30 years, it is the Tomahawk cruise missile. Developed in the late 1970s, the Tomahawk is a subsonic, terrain-hugging cruise missile with a range of over 1,500 miles. It can fly below radar coverage. It can navigate around mountains and through urban canyons. It can strike a specific window of a specific building. In 1991, during the opening night of Operation Desert Storm, 52 Tomahawk missiles were launched from U.S. Navy ships in the Red Sea and Persian Gulf. They flew over Saudi Arabia, over Jordan, and arrived in Baghdad simultaneously. The Iraqi Air Defense Command never had time to respond. Since then, Tomahawks have been fired in conflicts across the Middle East, the Balkans, Libya, and Syria. They are the first punch launched from ships safely beyond the horizon before a single aircraft crosses the enemy border or a single soldier sets foot ashore. The newest variant, the Block 5 Tomahawk, is even more lethal. It can be retargeted in flight. It can loiter over a target area, waiting for the right moment to strike. It can attack moving ships at sea, something previous versions could not do. And consider the reach. A U.S. Navy destroyer sitting in the middle of the Mediterranean Sea can strike targets in Moscow, Tehran, and Beijing without moving an inch. That is what power projection means.